Alright guys, it's been a while. Haven't done a video in quite a while actually. You'll be happy to know that the reason I haven't done any videos is I've been working on a shop to do videos in instead of this converted one-car garage. So there's a two-post lift, concrete, all that good stuff. So we'll have a 30 by 50, 14 tall shop, most likely by fall, hopefully. I've been doing it all myself, and it's taken quite a while to get it done. But anyway, today's video, so a little backstory on this. I let a buddy borrow the old farm F-250 here, and like a buddy should, he borrowed it to move some cows and stuff, and like he should, he found the pinion leaking on the rear end. So instead of returning it to me broken, he fixed it. Unfortunately, he did it kind of wrong, like a lot wrong, and he just cinched the yoke down on the pinion, and that of course put too much preload on the bearings. And through bumping around out here in the pasture, I have burned the gear oil. I went to check it and the gear oil was burnt. He said, well, I put royal purple in there, so it should be purple. I can hear it in there. It's too tight. Common sense would say just loosen the pinion and drive it, but I'm not that way. I can't do that. So I'm gonna take it apart, check the bearings, see if there's any score marks in the bearings. To do it right, we need to push the axles out, take the carrier out, and set the preload on the pinion without any other weight. So with old bearings, I think I read it should be somewhere between 19 to 25 inch-pounds as you're turning it. So some guys will, and they're doing it wrong, some guys will grab their inch-pound torque wrench and they'll go, and what it starts moving at is what they read it. It's supposed to be running torque, so you're spinning the inch-pound torque wrench around trying to read it, and it can be kind of difficult. But anywhere from 19 to 25 inch-pounds running torque as you're spinning the pinion nut. Anyway, I've got the fan off to do this intro, but I will have a fan on while I'm doing this. I'm sorry it's hot enough to melt your nuts around here, and I'm just not gonna die out here. So you'll hear some fan noise in the background. I'll try to, just take clips as I'm doing it. I've had a lot of people comment on, especially my a ball joint video. I can't remember the name of it, but on one of the videos they wanted to see everything happening. So what I'll do is just set this thing up and put some royalty-free music over the actual process, and then where I need to break in and talk to you, I'll break in and talk to you. But I gotta have this fan. I'm already starting to sweat just standing here talking to you. So we're gonna diagnose, take it apart, diagnose, and see what we can do to get her back in service like she's supposed to be. So hang tight. I'm gonna get everything set up. I'm gonna jack the truck up, get on jack stands, all that good stuff, and then we'll start tearing stuff apart. Let's see if we can get this off. Alright boys, let's see if this works. Oh, you motherfucker. Never fails. I do that shit every stinking time. like a glove. Definitely invest in a 3-jaw puller if you're gonna be doing shit like this, because that shit is money. Alright, let's look at the back of this thing. It's not scarred up. Did put a new oil slinger on there, which was nice. Nice and snapped in there. That looks okay. Let's get next. Need to get that oil seal out of there. It is brand new, so it should come out of there fairly easily. Put a little tap-tap-a-roo. Hell, I could damn near reuse that son of a bitch. I won't, but I could. Alright. Oh yeah. So first look, this bearing is smoked. Let me turn the see the discoloring on the bearing. That means she got hot, very hot. I don't know if it's coming through on the camera. Looks like it is. Yeah, she got hot. So what we'll do, we'll continue to inspect. Can you guys see up there? Get that bearing out of there. Look for hot spots. More hot spots. Obviously there's some there already. See how bad it is. Oh, get out of there, Bessie. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me or not. I'm sorry if you can't. If I go to edit this video and you guys can't hear me, I'll voice it over. But so the next step would be take the axles out, which is just these bolts. You just pull the axle straight out. You don't even got to take the tire off. Take both axles out, which I have. So next, we're going to take the caps off. There's bolt here, bolt here, bolt here, bolt here. Now on either side, there's going to be shims between the bearing race and the housing. Make sure you get those shims back in there exactly how they came out. If you mix them up, you're going to move the ring gear left or right, and your pattern is going to be all kinds of jacked up.
We may even paint a pattern on this just to see where it's at. But as long as I get the bearing or the pinion preload right, which should be about 25 inch-pounds running torque, and I get the shims back in there right, it should be right. So, plus I don't have any paint. So, essentially, we're going to take these 4 bolts out. We're going to pay attention to where the shims are. We're going to carefully remove the carrier and set it in this pan. And then I'm going to take stock of where the shims are. You know, hopefully I can get the carrier out without dropping shims and mixing them up. But it's very important that you get those shims back in there exactly how they came out. So, probably going to have to grab a wrench because this is going to be in the way. Should be able to get it with the impact here, but I'm going to get these loosened up, and then I'll start recording again once I'm getting ready to take the carrier out. All right. You're going to make sure the bolts are back in the exact same spot. The same. I'm going to show you guys the shims that I'm talking about. That's a shim, that big thick sucker right there. Alright, I got one spacer out. Got the other spacer out. Try. Make sure you don't get the races messed up. I mean, everything needs to go back exactly how it came out. And then we'll spray. Actually, I can pull the pinion out too. Got a little chip in the pinion. So, in this pinion, there's a little chip right there. So, I know for a fact these are on back order like many parts from Ford are. Well, many parts from everywhere are on back order. I'm not too worried about that. It looks like it's been wearing like it's supposed to, right in the center. I got no problem with this. So, in order to get that bearing on and off, we're going to chalk it up in the vise. I'm glad we did this because there's some heat marks. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's some heat marks on that race, so it's a good thing we did this because it needed it. The bearings were smoked. At least this race is. So I'm glad we did. I'm glad we decided to go ahead and do this. Can't never go wrong when you err on the side of caution. That's for sure. So now the battery in my camera is dying, but if you look back in there, there's space on either side for you to knock the bearing races out. So I'm going to take a long punch. I'm going to knock those braces out from both sides. There's one right here and one right here for the big bearing, and then we're going to get the new races and we'll drive them suckers in. Then we'll get to work pressing that bearing off and putting the new one on. So, like I said, the battery in this is dying. I'll have to go change it here in a minute, but I'm gonna get those races pressed out, the new one, it cleaned up, and the new ones pressed in. And then the way I'm in the garage, I really can't, God dang, that's bright. Whew. I can't even see the camera, it's so bright. So the way I'm in the garage, I really can't set the camera up to show you guys on the press. Maybe I'll try. I don't want anybody yelling at me that they couldn't see. So give me a little bit, let me get those pressed out, and then we'll go from there. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's actually a week later, so I had to order some parts. What I thought I had, I didn't have. Your boy's an idiot, and on the Ford Parts website, ordered all the bearings for a Dana 60 front drive shaft, not a Sterling 10.5 rear drive shaft. I'm an idiot. Thankfully I noticed. But we got them now. I had to go to work and was gone from the house for a week. I went on a trip, business trip. Back now, got all the parts. Thankfully my wife was able to pull some of this stuff in. I also got a B&W hitch, one of those companion hitches, because I had a adapter on the pin box in my camper, and it's obviously not good for them. Most of you guys know that. I think I'll do a review on that, because that was a whole story. Ordered it from Amazon, it was undeliverable. They finally refunded my money, but I had to go and buy one local. It was nuts. Anyway, I'll put that together and we'll do another video on that, showing you how easy it is to put together. It's pretty straightforward. But anyway, back to the task at hand. I got all the parts now. I pressed the bearings onto the carrier and onto the pinion. We're literally ready to put everything back together. I got to take the cover back off. I kind of secured it from the weather because I knew I was going to have an open dip for a while. So I'll get the camera set up, I'll get the cover off, and then we'll start with setting the pinion bearing preload. So hang tight. Alright, ladies and germs, first thing to do, take a wire brush, make sure to get all this clean in here. We want to get all the burnt oil we can out of here. I know the fan's loud, I'm sorry. It's 100 degrees and I'm in a garage and it's hot as shit. I'm gonna go with the fan. I'll give you guys a time lapse with some background music or something, but we're gonna pay special attention to the where the races go. We're gonna get those getting clean. Then we'll get the bearing races seated in there, put the pinion in, and then basically put the front half together and set the bearing preload, or the pinion preload. So I don't think you guys need to watch me cleaning. I did put shit back when I put it, you know, pushed it out of my garage, put my axles back in, put the bearing caps back where they're supposed to go, with the bolts that were, everything's the same as when I took it apart. So I'll have to get that stuff out of the way. It's kind of a pain in the ass sitting here shooting because the camera is right where I need to be. But we'll get this clean and then I'll be back with you guys. Alright, I'm going to try to tell you guys this. I know the fan noise sucks, but so it's in there. The race is seated. I think we're about to check it for the first time, but it's very important to get you a little mirror and check to make sure she's seated all the way around. You want to make sure it's in there and seated. You don't want to be doing this again. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me look through the camera, and it's all the way up against there. And that's what you want. I just looked all the way around. I've got to take it at kind of an angle so that I can make sure that it's good and seated, which it is. So for a big bearing like this, most of your race driver sets don't have a big enough deal to fit in there. So what I do is I take an old extension that I don't, like an old Harbor Freight extension that I don't give a shit about, and I'll very softly, you know, with just one tap, go all the way around, make sure it goes in there evenly, and then once it's seated, you're good. But like I say, most race driver kits don't have one. You have to buy one special, and I just haven't done that yet. Now for the front one, I've got a size that'll work. So we'll switch around to the front, we'll drive that other one in there, and then we'll install this pinion. Alright. So go down to Harbor Freight and get you one of these. Comes in a kit. I think it was 30 bucks. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. This one will go in way faster. I'm gonna mute the audio so y'all don't have to hear me beating the hell out of this thing. I always put a little 80-90 in there so it doesn't get bound up going in. That's cool. Well, just as I'm sitting there putting 80-90 on here, that's no good. So this sucks, but I'm almost kind of glad that it happened so that I can show you guys. So I have a mark. I have a gall mark inside here. I don't know where in the hell it came from, but there is a gall mark in here, and I'm going to show it to y'all. This isn't a life changer. This ain't a deal breaker. What we're going to have to do, well, we're going to have to get the camera. Oh, what a pain in my ass. Right there. There's a gall mark in where the race goes. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take a die grinder. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but I'm going to have to take a die grinder and ever so slightly just take the edges off of that so that the race will slide in. Now, that little mark, that's not too terribly big of a deal. We can fix that. But if you had that, you know, the whole bearing surface, or the whole surface that the race locks into was all dicked up, at that point then you might want to look at getting a new new differential housing, which that sucks, but you know, there ain't much you can do about it. just taking that edge off. That's it. You don't gotta go crazy with this thing. Show you what I did. So, pinion's in there. Just lifted the pinion up, put the new bearing on. And you'll have this little shim goes on there. And then this big sumbitch right here. So now we're going to use the old nut to get that started on there. The reason you want to use the old nut is because you're going to run it down until you get your pinion preload. Then you're going to take this nut off. Out of the way, covered. Okay. So now we'll do this by hand. It may take 3 men and a little boy to tighten it, but with the breaker bar you have the ability to go slow. Which it's not even difficult right now. That was maybe 1/4 inch. But you guys get the gist of what I'm doing. Very, very small increments. Oh, I didn't move it first. It's not going to be accurate. Right at 25, which is right where we want it. All right. After several days, several part runs, several times of Ford gouging me right straight in the booty hole. Hopefully we have all the parts. I'm here to tell y'all my behind hurts because I have gotten screwed by the Ford man. Shim 4785. This one is 2.55 thick. There's the part number. If you go to fordparts.com put in that part number in the search, it'll come up with several of different thicknesses. I've had really good luck ordering from them and getting them the next day. So we'll see what happens here. That one is skinny. And depending on which clip I use, you want to make sure that beveled edge, I don't know if it shows up on the camera, that beveled edge goes towards the axle. Oh, in case you guys didn't know, this differential is light. And I'm trying to manhandle this thing up in here. Is a task at best. Look at there. Slides right in. So, I'll put the caps on. They may be too tight even still. Alright, so adjust the camera here so you guys can see. With those shims in there, let's put it at 0. Alright, we're at 0. I have about 1.5 thou. I'm sure y'all can see that moving. So, and we haven't even done a pattern yet. I don't even know where it's riding at. But that is way too tight. So we want round about 12 thousandths. So we should be getting over to about there. I'm shaking because I'm hungry, but yeah, that's way too tight. So I'm going to pull this left shim out. This one's 271 thousandths, I think. 0.271, I believe. Yeah, this one's 0.271. I'm gonna pull this one out for a 2. Well, I'll have to see what I got, but yeah, I'm gonna pull this one out. This one's my smallest one. Yeah, so this one's a 2.55. This one's a 2.71. Because the gear's worn, it's you know, the gear that was in it. I'm almost certain it's gonna have to move to the right. So I'm gonna pull this one out. Or maybe even swap them